Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Taylor's gone. Come on, touchdown, Indy! Woo! IU! America! They got a football team now!
Pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Oh, now, here's Jim Coyle.
Hey, welcome aboard, everybody. Another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you on this Monday. Yeah, it's a little frigid out there, and snow is still there. Appreciate you being with us. Another fun time coming up. The Fischer joining us on the program today, along with Rakestraw, Dustin, Dopirak. Plenty to talk about, of course. Big weekend for the Indiana Hoosiers as football and basketball both in the headlines again. Football, of course, dominating the headlines with maybe one of the biggest things that you can imagine coming to fruition. And Fernando Mendoza bringing home a trophy that I never imagined could come to Bloomington, but it did. And it is. We'll be meeting with him today. And the magic words that would have been said would have been something like this. And that's how it started off the other night. A huge announcement for Indiana football. And it continued on Sunday with an appearance on 60 Minutes. The amount of marketing that Indiana football is bringing in to Indiana University right now is probably it's immeasurable. Free advertising, it's unbelievable. Enrollment is up. And if you don't think that this has a bearing on enrollment and things like that, I would greatly disagree with you. Enrollment is up. Everything is up for IU. It matters. And it is now we're going to continue to see the fruits of that. Will we see the fruits of that with recruiting and things of that nature? A lot of stuff been going on. And the one thing that I don't know if it should be worrisome, but this is a program that has been so locked in, focused, so locked in on what they're doing. And this is really taking them out of their comfort zone. Last year, they went right into the college football playoffs, playing that first round game at Notre Dame. So they didn't have the conference championship game to play in, but it was basically like having a simple bye week. And this is anything but that. Not only do you have all this time off, but you have so much of this stuff going on where you're not focused on what you have been and the routine that you've been in. I would think it would be very difficult to get out of and get back into that. But we'll see. Plenty of others have done it, and plenty more will do it. So we'll see how that goes. The Fish is going to join us. He was down in Lexington Saturday night, of course. Indiana, another big part of the weekend. Indiana and Kentucky renewing the basketball series. Didn't work out for Indiana, although a great first half run for the Hoosiers. Did not seem like it was going well, or it did not go well, rather, in the second half. And came back to bite the Hoosiers, and they took it on the chin. But pretty much the same old things coming to fruition. You can't get beat on certain things that they're getting beat on. Rebounding was not one of those, however, the other night, but the turnovers, unbelievable high amount of turnovers, and therefore they allowed Kentucky to benefit off points off of turnovers on that. Same old problems. They've got to get fixed. Foul troubles. It all started when Lamar Wilkerson picked up his fourth foul, and that's kind of a pattern, man. They lose that momentum, and it's difficult for him to retain it. So, but the Fish will be here. He was there for the call for that game, and of course, he wasn't in New York to my knowledge, but got to see that, and I'm sure he enjoyed that quite thoroughly. Now he'll get to call a Heisman Trophy winner for the first time in his career. He was on 60 Minutes as well. That's another first. I would wonder, but Indiana's been on 60 Minutes before. That wasn't always for the great things. I think maybe the last time was regarding Bob Knight. But I mentioned a minute ago the marketing that Indiana football is bringing to Indiana University. It's mesmerizing. The amount, the proliferation. It's nonstop. It's coast to coast. I mean, you want to talk about the New York Times or the Washington Post or it doesn't matter. It's everywhere. Indiana football is ubiquitous right now. And that means Indiana University is ubiquitous right now. What an unbelievable opportunity for the school to get to promote itself like that. And it's going to benefit them all the way around. And that's why you have to make those investments in the things that bring you the best return on your investment. And that has become football far and away. Indiana, fortunately, made that move. And after so many years of not doing it. So there's you go. Big word. Yeah, there you go. Big word. 21 days, not games, huh? 2 games in the next 21 games, both cupcakes. I'm talking about Indiana basketball, I guess. Yeah, Indiana basketball's opportunity for non-conference wins is over. They'll have to make hay in the Big Ten Conference, which is going to be unbelievably tough. My gosh. Nebraska, people, 11-0. And Nebraska just went to Illinois and beat Illinois. Illinois is going to be probably a top 5 team. Unless Nebraska knocks them down. It's unbelievably tough at the top of the Big Ten this year. Michigan, Purdue, Michigan State, Illinois, UCLA. We just saw Nebraska. They're 11-0. Was that 6 teams right there that are tough, that really probably, I don't want to say have a shot at winning the Big Ten title, because Michigan is so good. I think Michigan's the favorite. I've said that all year long. You've got to keep Purdue up in there, but Michigan, they're tough. They are just tough, and they're going to get tougher. Didn't they beat Gonzaga by like 1 million? Yeah. Dusty May. Is Dusty May the Kurt Signetti of at least the Big Ten basketball? Maybe. Pretty much had Michigan turned around a year ago, not to the extent that IU football, because IU football had so much further to go. But they're bucking for a national championship this year. Right now, Michigan is. Could Indiana? I'm not trying to stir up stuff, but just saying. Could Indiana be in the position right now of having both of its main programs shooting for national championships? I mean, just saying. Just saying. Having a little fun. Hope your day has started out well. It's Monday, but it's a frigid one. It's a bit chilly out there. Holy moly. But And that snow's not going anywhere for a minute. Although it is going to get, warmer at the end of the week, maybe? Football is now on kind of a hiatus, with everything now being focused towards the college football playoff, which for Indiana will take place on New Year's Day out in Pasadena, California, at the Rose Bowl against the winner of the Oklahoma-Alabama game. Alabama, of course, Ty Simpson, I'm not sure what his situation is going to be for them, so that would make it a little tougher for the Crimson Tide, and I'm really hoping, man, that would be something to see, wouldn't it? Alabama and Kalen DeBoer against Indiana, plus we would be able to have Kalen on, so there's that. Hoping that we see that. What chances does JMU have to make a run of the CFP? I don't see it. I'm sorry. While I respect them and I respect what they have done, it's amazing. I do not think they're one of the 12 best teams in the country. And that's where the disagreement and the arguments come down. You want to talk about Notre Dame. I don't think Notre Dame deserves to be in on on what they've done this year based on how it's set up right now. Sorry. Now, are they one of the 12 best teams in the country? Maybe. It's kind of hard to tell since they didn't beat anybody. And a third of the teams they played were the last place teams in every conference. No joke. So it's hard to tell. When you don't play in a conference to where you can get some kind of a measuring stick, it's hard to tell because they have cherry-picked the worst teams in 3 of the P4 conferences. They play 5 teams of the weakest P4 conference. So, I think that they got what they deserved, but that's neither here nor there. Hey, let's take a quick break. The Fish is going to be with us next. Plenty to talk about with him. Looking forward to it, of course, as always. Glad to have you along. More importantly, we're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemooreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday, and that means a visit from our friend Don Fischer. And Don, big doings over the weekends for Indiana. First of all, we cannot ignore the great accomplishment of Fernando Mendoza becoming the first Heisman winner ever for Indiana University and winning the Heisman. What a huge deal that is in and of itself. Well, just I'll leave it right there. Just what a huge deal that is in and of itself.
Well, there's no question, and well-deserved. What a great representative Fernando Mendoza is for Indiana University, and he represents a wonderful family. He's a little different than what you normally see out there in public from the standpoint of how he handles himself, but he handles it with such grace. And the things that he said in his award ceremony were absolutely phenomenal. One of the best, I think, probably accepted speeches for an award like that. I don't know that anybody could have done it better. And he's just a model citizen. He's one of those guys that you look up to and say, this guy says everything right, and he does everything right at this point in his career. And he's just a young guy, and he's got so much life ahead of him. So it's really fun to see, and it'll be, this is a guy that's going to go to the NFL. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And he's probably going to be one of the top 5 picks in the NFL. So we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. But right now, we're not even worried about any of that kind of stuff. We're worried about what's going to happen next, and that doesn't happen until January 1st.
Yeah, of course, the next game up, I was just talking about that. That's something that I wonder if Indiana fans have concern over, because this team has been so focused, so locked in on everything they're doing, and Kurt Cignetti's been able to keep them like that. Now they've got so much time done, and not only that, there's so much that's been going on with every stinking award in the world being named and given to either Kurt Cignetti or Fernando or Indiana. They have been on the award circuit, and I wonder, boy, it's got to get you out of your rhythm.
Well, think about this. Kurt Cignetti's been here for 2 years now, or not, 2 seasons basically, right? Have you ever seen him out of character? Have you ever seen him out of character? No. So it's not going to change. He has a process about everything that he does. Now, Indiana definitely has a lot of time on their hands right now, and it's a good thing because there are some injuries that need to get healed up, those kinds of things. But he will get this team ready to play their next ball game. There's no doubt in my mind about that, because he's dealt with this for maybe the last several years now. I'm talking about Cignetti and how he goes about his business. And it doesn't vary, Jim. It just doesn't. Every single week when they're getting ready to play a ball game, it's the same scenario. And the process is the process. And he makes sure these guys are on the same page, and they're all talking about what they're going to do next. And in my heart, I just can't believe that there's going to be anything that changes with the way this team prepares themselves, and that they will be ready to play when they match up in this next ball game. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
And I mentioned there's just been so much. It's unbelievable. You get the Heisman, you think, okay, that's got to be it. They've gone undefeated. They're number 1 in their stinking country. They won every coaching award there is. They won every player award. And now you've got the Heisman. Oh, but wait, you're going to be on 60 Minutes on top of that. And it's going to be all positive. It just keeps coming in a positive way. What the hiring of Kurt Cignetti has done, not only for the program, for the school, for the university, this has been a gift that keeps on giving for Indiana.
There's no doubt. And look, the 60-minute piece last night was excellent in the sense of what the content was. And John Worthon, who was the moderator of that segment of the program, was terrific. I was really upset a little bit because I spent 2 hours talking to Mr. Wertheim, and I only got like 25 seconds. I just don't get it. But no. No, the truth of the matter is I knew going in that this was going to be a good hour or so. It turned out to be 2 hours of filming. So they have video on me for 2 hours, which is really problematic in itself. So all I can tell you is it was really fun to be a part of it. It was a terrific presentation, I thought, in what they were talking about in regard to Curt Cignetti and the program and how far it's come and all those kinds of things. But here's the real deal. At this juncture, you just celebrate it, enjoy it. The parade's not done yet, and we'll see what happens as they start playing the January 1st ball game against whomever, whether that's Oklahoma or Alabama. And if it continues after that, that is awesome. But this season for me has been made because they won a Big Ten championship. And now it's all just, in my mind, it's all gravy on top of the mashed potatoes, so to speak. But I don't doubt that Indiana is going to go a long way and maybe win the national championship because they are that good. So just enjoy the ride, people. And when it ends, it ends. It may not end. That's the greatest news. It may not end. And Indiana's got all the tools they need to get this thing done.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And not only do they have the tools, they are now being viewed by people that outside of the program that they're legit. I mean, it's finally kind of across the board. Most people. Now, there were some that were starting to come along and thinking, all right, give them their flowers. But now it's after that Ohio State win, it's kind of hard not to when they've done everything that people have said. Well, you haven't done this. Well, what else? What the hell else do you want them to do? They've gone to Oregon. They've beaten Ohio State. They pretty much crossed all the bridges right now, and just continues to be remarkable for this team. But also, I'm looking down the road for recruiting, Don, what that win of the Heisman does, what this season does, how that continues to build upon itself as Curt Cignetti goes forward.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. All of this recognition, all of this, everybody looking at Indiana University football. Like they never have before. And it's going to help. It's going to help dramatically. And it doesn't matter what happens in this playoff because, again, this is the Cinderella story that's happening in this country right now. In all the college sports, everybody's looking at Indiana University football as if to say, what happened here? How did this happen? They're trying to dissect it in every way possible to understand how that success has occurred. And it's justified because how it's occurred is because of Curt Cignetti. It's that simple.
Yeah, there's no question. And we'll see that continue. And looking forward to that as Indiana plays the winner of the Oklahoma-Alabama game next. That would also be ironic, the irony if it ends up being Alabama. That would be cool in and of itself. Basketball underway as well. And not only that, on Saturday, we got to see the resumption of the Indiana-Kentucky series. Didn't work out for Indiana like they'd like for it, but it doesn't matter. Just seeing that game back the way it should be was a huge importance. I love the fact that Indiana was getting booed relentlessly when they came out. I mean, that's how it should be. That's one of these games, and it is, to me, the best rivalry game in college basketball that was not being played.
Exactly. It should have never happened, and there's nothing that anybody could have probably done about it in the sense. I mean, Calipari obviously didn't want to come back to Assembly Hall and made that quite plain to everyone. And without doubt, he had as much to do with the series ending as anybody because they couldn't come to an agreement on how they were going to play it. And the fact that Scott Dolson and Mitch Barnhart finally have worked this out. Of course, Calipari's gone to Arkansas, so he's no longer a factor in this thing. But the fact of the matter is this series should have not been stopped. It was, and now it's back on again. And that, I think, should make every Indiana fan happy because you love to play rivalry ball games. They're the games that everybody looks to. Every time Indiana plays Purdue, you got a packed house, whether it's at Mackey Arena or Simon Scott Assembly Hall. It's something that everybody anticipates. There's always a great build-up to those ball games. You want to see rivalry matchups, and Indiana and Kentucky has always been, well, I shouldn't say always, because back in the day, I think they started this series in 1924, and they only played like 8 times, I think it is, up until 1969. And so it just was a very sporadic thing in those days. And then in 69, that's when it started playing every year. That's when they got this thing going. And, we hadn't been back to Rupp Arena to play a ball game. And I think back in the late 80s was the last time we played in Rupp Arena, outside of the 2002 NCAA tournament, in which they beat Duke, which was it made blue Kentucky turn into red that day, which was one of the great things of all time. But at any rate, and the Kentucky fans were rooting for Indiana because they didn't like Duke. They hated Duke even much more than they did Indiana. So all I can tell you is it's just great to have this rivalry back. We'll play next year at Lucas Oil Stadium. And then the year after that, it'll be back at Rupp, and then we'll be back at Simon Scott Assembly Hall for that last game of the 4-game series that they now have set up. And hopefully it just continues on and on again.
Yes, it does. And hopefully it will, as I think that will not be an issue going forward. And they'll get it situated to where they play these games where it's not so wonky, because as you mentioned, not coming back to Simon Scott Assembly Hall until the last game of this 4-game current contract. Don, with all that's gone on here in just the last 2 weeks with your career, you've seen a lot, virtually everything of importance with IU sports. How big these last 2 weekends, is this just the biggest time space in IU athletics history? It's hard with national championships in basketball and whatnot, it's hard to compare apples to oranges, but what 2 weeks this has been when you add in the basketball games against Louisville and Kentucky, Big Ten championship, Heisman Trophy, #1. I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah, there's no doubt it's a lot. It's been a lot of work, to be quite honest about it, but it's a good work. And, getting to do what I've been doing for the last 60 years almost, it's been the most, well, from my perspective, I've been blessed to have the opportunity. And in that context alone, I could just say I'm having as much fun as I've ever had at Indiana University on a consistent basis. And I say consistent because football now is consistently winning. Basketball, I think, is coming around. I know people are disappointed that we've lost 3 of the last 4 games, and we lost to Kentucky, we lost to Louisville. But these matchups at this point in time with a new coach, a new roster, everybody's working to get it better, and I don't think there's any question it is a lot better than it has been in some time. There's a lot to look forward to with this basketball season, and I really believe that Darren DeVries is the right guy for this job. The way he coaches, the way he handles things with his players. I've watched him, quite a bit here over the last 5 months, and I'm really impressed by him as a person and as a coach. And it may not be perfect this first year that he's on board, and it's going to get better. I really believe that. And they've been dinged a little bit. They just don't have a full roster. They've had 3 of these guys missing, or 4 of these guys missing quite a bit of the fall and the practice leading up to it. So it takes time. And there's no question if they get a full roster now, if Jason Drake can come back here shortly to give them a little backup help at the front on the guard position, the point guard position, if they can get Josh Harris healthy again so he can start playing, because he did play in Puerto Rico. I was impressed with him down there. I thought he played well. So, again, that's another big that can help you. And they're still going to be undersized. But the one thing that Darren DeVries is going to do here in the next couple of weeks, he's just going to get this team better, in my opinion. I'm not hearing you, big boy.
And that's all you can do as we keep going forward. Make sure you get that mic on. Don Fischer, appreciate you as always, brother. Have a great day. We'll see you out at the Fernando experience today.
Yep, I'll be there. All right, man. See ya.
The Fish joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio is always a fun time, and glad to have him. So always good to have Don with us, and always looking forward to having him with us, as a matter of fact. Also, after that Kentucky game, of course, the DeVries boys spoke to the media. Let's hear what they had to say.
Another night where it feels like it just kind of gets difficult to really down an opponent off the dribble, kind of get that inside out sort of paint touch to three looks you want. Just like what, I guess, are you guys, what's not happening there? What's just kind of sort of failing at the source offensively when that's not working?
Yeah, I thought the first half, we got some pretty good action, pretty good movement. I thought the second half, Kentucky, certainly turned up the pressure and was able to get into us, and we didn't respond well enough, and we turned the ball over too much, and live ball turnovers against them are really hard because now they're out in transition playing in space. So the turnovers and the offensive rebounding, I mean that flipped the game around that second half.
Yeah, for both of you guys, that stretch there, 5 turnovers, I think it was 5 or 6 possessions, and they had a bunch of putbacks. Just what was the problem there? Why so many turnovers in a short stretch did you feel, and why did you guys struggle to keep them off the boards?
Yeah, I thought the turnovers, it was a combination of things. I thought we left our feet a few times. I thought we just got on our heels a little bit and didn't play as disciplined as we needed to. The crowd got cranked up and things. That's the time where you got to really dig in a little bit more. Your screen's got to be better. You got to play off of 2 feet more. And then the offensive rebounds, they just went and got them, and we didn't do a good enough job of creating space and getting bodies and going and securing the ball.
Coach, what do you think you need to improve on and this team needs to improve on against ball pressure at the point of attack?
Yeah, the number one thing when you get ball pressure is everything from an execution standpoint and a movement standpoint. It's just got to be done with more force. You can't continue to just get pushed out and everybody stands. So you have to find ways to give yourself up with a back cut, give yourself up with a screen, set up those screens with more force, and get some movement. Even as they gotten ahead and we started to break it off a little bit. Once we got movement again, we were able to get those clean looks or better looks. So it's something we got to get better at. There's no question.
Third row, Daniel.
Tucker, your individual line tonight was really great. I mean, your effort was fantastic. 15.7 rebounds. A lot of the three-point shots tonight didn't go down like they normally do for the Hoosiers. What do you think that is? Was it just not seeing the basket as well? Was it the defense? Was it not in the offense where you were getting clean looks?
To be honest, making and missing shots, I thought tonight honestly wasn't our problem. I know certainly I did not shoot it great. It looks as a team we didn't shoot that great well either from 3, but even with that being said, I think there were certainly areas that we needed to be a lot better at as a group, and if we were able to, especially in the second half, execute in those areas, I think that would have made up for some of those shooting habits and miscues, but making a missing shot sometimes is basketball. But I thought in the other areas, if we can just execute there a little bit more, that would save the life.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, Fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
It's Monday, and that means a visit with our good friend Greg Rakestraw. Greg, how are you doing, sir?
Good, sir. How are you?
Well, that's always the best way to be. It was a busy weekend all the way around everywhere. Colts playing. Indiana wasn't playing, but they had football stuff going on. Indiana basketball, high school basketball, all abound as well. It's that time of year, man. We're getting a little bit of everything, Greg.
Only problem is that Mother Nature got in the way on Saturday. So I was lucky enough to have a really good high school game on Friday night between Noblesville and Carmel. One that Carmel won by 12. Had a very rare Saturday off because of Saturday's snow. But then obviously Sunday was a unique day for the Indianapolis Colts. And I think a friend of mine said it very well. You can be equally impressed by what Phillip Rivers was able to accomplish, to use the phraseology of getting up off the couch and playing in an NFL game for a first time in 59 months. With that as the backdrop, he was great yesterday. The overall result obviously wasn't great for the Colts. And Rivers' total numbers was 120 yards passing and 27 attempts, which is basically not how you need to run an NFL offense. So yesterday was interesting, that's for sure. And unfortunately, it was a step closer towards another season at the playoffs for the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, it's kind of set in stone now. Unfortunately, we kind of know what direction that is heading, which it started out so positively too, right, with the looking at potential of winning the division and just rolling on. But now, I guess, what do you look for? Do you look at potential high draft pick to get with what your season's going to end up being?
They traded it away for Sauce Gardner, so that doesn't do you much good. And the thing is, they're not much like Monty Python. They're not dead yet, because they play Jacksonville and they play Houston the last two games of the season. Now, Jacksonville is here. Houston is on the road. Houston is the team that Indy is only a game back of at this point. So, it's, again, not trending in the right direction. And the biggest issue the Colts have faced, I don't think, is a Colts issue. Clearly, they have their own, like lack of a starting quarterback or lack of DeForest Buckner, and now potentially you're without both tackles. So maybe it's flesh wounds at this point. I want to keep the Monty Python analogy going. But basically, it's that you've also played really good teams. The last bad team, this is crazy to say this. I said this in the postgame show last night, Jim. The worst, air quotes, loss for the Colts this season is the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are 6-8, not going to be a playoff team. But their finishing kick, Chiefs, Texans, Jaguars, Seahawks, Niners, Jaguars, Texans. And once you get past the Chiefs, it looks like all of those teams are going to be playoff teams. And maybe the Indianapolis Colts aren't. So the Colts have not played as well in November and December as they did in September and October, for sure. But I still think the Colts' biggest issue has been more of whom they have played, more so than how they have played or what they have been doing.
And now we've seen two major quarterbacks go down with season-ending injuries. Of course, Daniel Jones goes down for the Colts, and that kind of wiped their season for sure after yesterday. But the Chiefs that you just mentioned, Patrick Mahomes, ACL, man, the kind of the end of a gigantic run by the Chiefs, as they are now eliminated from the playoffs, and just kind of I don't know. It's got to be kind of the changing of the guard. You look at guys like Drake May that's what we all had on our bingo card. Drake May, who is probably going to be, I don't know, is he going to be the NFL MVP, Greg?
I think he is. Now, again, them getting beat yesterday maybe opened the door back for Josh Allen for that to be the case. Obviously, a month ago, we were talking about Jonathan Taylor and Daniel Jones. That's not going to happen at this point. And so maybe it's down. I would think you are now kind of like, Fernando winning the Heisman on Saturday, which is a real and factual statement, which is crazy to say. You go down to the quarterback on the best team. Bo Nix's numbers probably have been good enough for the Broncos Drake May leads the Patriots out of nowhere. You put him up there. If it's Josh Allen, it's almost a career achievement award. The other guy that I'll throw out there, and considering kind of where he was in the offseason, it's a pretty remarkable statement. Matthew Stafford of the Rams. I mean, they scored 41 against a Lions team that is in the good, not great category this year. But, Matthew Stafford basically didn't touch the field in training camp because his back was a problem. There was major concerns heading into the regular season, and he's been phenomenal. So, all four of those QBs, Jim, are on teams that have won at least 10 games or certainly are going to be playoff teams. So maybe who plays the best of that group these last 3 weeks might be the guy that's the MVP. But I have to pick a favorite right now, Jim. Drake May would be that guy.
Yeah, it's been crazy to see. First of all, the Patriots come from out of nowhere. It's like, wow, we already laid them for dead. But boy, you would talk about rebounding. That's got to make Bill Belichick happy as all can be. I'm sure he loves seeing them do well. But yeah, it's just been a wacky season. But that's how it is. Things change, and it's always going to be change. And the teams, like the Bills, who we kind of thought were going to be there, they're going to be there at the end. But is there a dominant team this year? No. I mean, normally there is that team that you're looking at, but we don't have that this year, do we?
No. I'm thinking the Rams are the best team. Okay. But there's nobody that can't be beaten, on a given Sunday. Every team has some form of flaw. I think the Denver Broncos defensively are about as good as any team in the National Football League. They gave up 26 points at home to the Packers yesterday. And much as the Chiefs' season has changed because of injuries, it appears the Packers might. Now, the Packers have probably done enough to be a playoff team at this juncture. Not a guarantee, but they could be without. It certainly looks like Micah Parsons has a similar knee injury to Patrick Mahomes. And Christian Watson got hurt in that game as well. So now you're taking your best defense player off the field and one of your top wide receiving threats off of the field. So the Packers had a rough day yesterday as well. But no, there is not one dominant team, but that's frankly the nature of the National Football League. But we will have a little new blood this year in terms of playoff contenders. So if you're a fan of a team that's not going to make the playoffs and you can get over your disappointment, this should be a pretty good month of January from a postseason football standpoint.
And now we've got high school basketball that is well underway as we kind of switch over seasons into that regard. I'm sure that normally would keep you busy, but like you said, weather-wise, it kind of hit us. That I didn't expect to get all that snow. I got to be honest with you. We kind of got it down here in Bloomington.
Well, you got the Thursday night snow. We thankfully missed that in Indianapolis. That went south and hit you guys. And then so if we had Friday night games, Saturday, unless you were playing in the far north or the far south, you simply weren't playing. And so the event that got bagged that I had on Saturday was one of the more fun ones we have every year, the Tip-Off Classic at Southport. Fisher's Carmel Crown Point, Fisher's Penn, Anderson, Mount Vernon, amongst some of the headline games. Both Silver Creek and Charlestown were scheduled to come up, obviously did not make it. I know a handful of those games will take place. It's like, for example, Jim, Carmel and Crown Point, that was scheduled to be Carmel's home game. That game was already on the books. They moved it part of this event. That game will take place. I knew that Anderson and Mount Vernon would play each other because, Jim, they're in the same sectional. They want to see each other. That game is going to take place tomorrow night. So to give you an example, that got rescheduled quickly. I think Fishers and Penn are working on a date to play each other because, again, there are two tremendous sophomores in this class. One of them is Noah Washington, New Albany. The other is Caleb Coleman at Penn, whose dad, Barrick, is the head coach at Penn and formerly was the head coach at both Northrop as well as at Valparaiso. So, and Penn being the size school it is and type of school it is, they're used to traveling across the state to kind of find great competition. So that game will take place. Unfortunately, as an event, there's just not a Saturday where you can get 12 teams together, left in the rest of the season. So, that event goes by the wayside. And again, it kind of indicates how unusual this level of snow is for us in December these days, because that's the first time that event has ever been postponed. That event survived COVID. It did not survive Saturday's snowstorm this past weekend.
You mentioned Noah Washington from New Albany High School, kind of been a young phenom for a while down there. He was recently at an IU basketball game. I know it's someone that, everyone's keeping their eye on, but
Sure.
How has he been developing? I mean, he's, everyone thinks of New Albany, and right now they've got Romeo in the mind from not a few years back. And this kid's a different type of player.
Sure. He's the best player since that time. But again, that is an awfully difficult bar. That would be like looking at every Bedford North Lawrence kid for the last 35 years and going, hey, there's the next Damon Bailey. And there's not been a next Damon Bailey. Noah is a major Division I talent. New Albany is starting to kind of play that statewide circuit in terms of featured events. I would assume we would see New Albany next year, the year after, in terms of the Hall of Fame Classic. New Albany kind of picked this up with Romeo, and good on them. They have kept some of those Indianapolis schools. Obviously kind of Floyd, Jeff, New Albany, and the Evansville schools are used to playing each other now. So that knowing they're going to see them in the regional, they play each other during the regular season. But Jeff and New Albany really have made an Indianapolis chunk of their schedule. Even this year where Jeffersonville's got a complete reset, they're coming up and playing in North Central's holiday event, December 29th and 30th. They're playing Lawrence North the Saturday after that. And so we'll see more of Noah from a high school standpoint around the state each of the next couple of years. New Albany did come up and play Brownsburg's event last week, losing to Plainfield. And Plainfield's probably a top 5 or 6 team in the state of Indiana this year. As far as Noah's development is concerned, he's right on track. Every major college has an interest in him. So from a development standpoint, he's doing great. But just so the folks, again, back home know, again, he and Caleb Coolman.
Is he a sophomore?
Correct. They're sophomores, probably the 2 top kids in their class as of now in Indiana. And the younger of the Lampley brothers, probably that's now at Pike, is probably in that conversation as well.
It's amazing hearing about him Noah Washington for as long as we have, because it seems like it's been forever, and he's just a stinking sophomore.
Correct. I mean, just kind of the way of the world, but that's the land of social media and recruiting these days, Jim.
What is up next on your docket schedule of sports that are coming along? You had the cancellations this week, but I know there's more coming up, and the Colts continue to roll as well.
There's always more. And so Wednesday night, Attucks and Warren Central. Friday night, North Central and Carmel. Saturday, a new event in terms of the holiday hoop slate. This would be at the Corteva Coliseum at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. There are 4 games, girls and boys, 2 girls games in the afternoon, 2 boys games in the evening. I'll have the doubleheader of the boys action starting at 6 o'clock, which features Lures and Rebuff, followed by Avon and Harrison. This year, the Hall of Fame Classic tournament is earlier. It is before Christmas. It is next Monday and Tuesday. So I'll have those games sandwiched around Monday Night Football next week for the Indianapolis Colts. So I've got a busy next 8 or 9 days, but then I get to have about a 4-day breather for Christmas, which I'm looking forward to next week.
Well, we're looking forward to it all coming up as it's that time of year. We've got, like I said, we got everything. We've got the end of year football stuff, but yet the NFL is still a ways off from the playoffs. We've got the college football now hitting the bowl game season, Indiana and the college football playoffs. Of course, I didn't ask you about how about seeing a Heisman Trophy winner come to Indiana. It's crazy.
It's crazy, and maybe the thing that was, most stunning about it was the margin of victory that he had. It was not close. Think about the fact that the number 1 and 2 guys in the Heisman Trophy race played at Indiana and Vanderbilt. It is a whole new world in terms of what you can accomplish as a college football program. So, for a guy that is going to be at Indiana for basically a semester, or basically about 6 or 7 months, if you include the summer term. And maybe he got to campus last January. Maybe he's been on campus for a year. But a guy that at most will spend 12 months enrolled as a student at Indiana University. The impact that Fernando Mendoza has had and will have on that football program is absolutely staggering. And so for a guy to come in, and we talk about how much Kurt Cignetti has changed the fate of Indiana football, and he has. You can't understate that. But to think of the impact that Mendoza will have is pretty mind-boggling, knowing Not a 3-year kid, not a 4-year kid, not a 5-year kid. He'll be here for 1 year. But in that year, he has led Indiana to a Big Ten championship. He has brought Indiana their first Heisman Trophy. He potentially could lead them to a national championship. And it is certainly trending, Jim, that he is the number 1 pick in the upcoming NFL draft. And to me, that is going to be like the dominant sports talk conversation of, let's say, late February and the month of April. And so let me kind of walk people through why that's the case and maybe take some things out. So you're going to talk NFL draft and normally about your team, right? Well, as you heard me say, the Colts have a first-round pick. Don't have one now the next couple of years because of Sauce Gardner, unless they decide to trade back in to get a first-round pick. Normally, we talk about Pacers playoffs. Well, that was because of injuries. They're 6-20. They're only 5 games back, amazingly, of the last playoff spot at this point. But again, I don't think they're going to be a playoff team this year. So you kind of pull that out of the mix. Certainly appears that Purdue is going to likely make a deep run, and the Final Four is here. That'll kind of take up most of March. I'm not ready to write off IU because of a bad loss at Kentucky. I still think Indiana is going to be an NCAA tournament team at least. Now, deep run probably is a different conversation at this point. So we're going to talk about, well, at the end of February, because the Combine is here, it'll be all about Fernando Mendoza. And once you get through the Final Four and you don't have really that NBA playoff push to talk about locally, guess what we're going to talk about? Indiana having maybe the number 1 pick in the NFL draft for the first time since the 1930s. And yes, it has happened one time before. A lineman whose name escapes me currently from back in the 1930s is Indiana's lone pick, number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. So all you football fans, as you are waiting to watch your team play in the Rose Bowl, again, a true statement, on January the 1st, watch the back end of the NFL standings. Like, for example, the Saints won yesterday, and it probably took them out of having a number 1 pick. They're a franchise that you would think would take a quarterback. So IU fans, watch what the Jets and the Raiders do. Those are the 2 teams that would be the most likely landing spots for Fernando Mendoza. And right now, those 2 are circling the drain towards the number 1 pick with 3 more weeks left to go in the season.
Greg Rakestraw from the ISC Sports Network. If you're not giving him a follow, you should be. You're missing out on a whole bunch. Greg, I cannot thank you enough, as always, brother.
Thank you, sir. And I will do this conversation with you from the largest and finest high school field house in the world. I'll be in Newcastle next Monday, so I will join you courtside from Chrysler Fieldhouse.
Cannot wait. Looking forward to it. Make sure you give them a follow. Keeping up with that great content, Greg. Go out and have yourself a safe and warm Monday.
You do the same, buddy. Thank you.
Appreciate you, buddy. Let's see. That is going to take us up to the break here in just a second. We've got more coming up, of course. Dustin Dopirik's going to join us here on this Monday. We've got you alongside with us, and glad to have you. Man, all the awards Indiana has won, it's crazy. I mean, if you think about it, it's unprecedented that they won all of these awards. I mean, they swept everything. Obviously, Kurt Signetti wins the, which one was it? The Walter Camp Coach of the Year award back-to-back. First time that's happened. That award has been around for 59 years now, first time in that awards history. There have been times where coaches and players have won the Heisman and Coach of the Year and things, but Indiana swept everything. They swept every major coaching award, including the conference stuff. So it's crazy. And how about old man Rivers yesterday, almost bringing the Colts a win in Seattle, of all places. Nuts. But couldn't quite get it done. High school basketball is back around. Michigan. When we come back, I can't wait. Michigan has opened up an investigation into itself. Really? Let me guess. Ward Manuel, your AD's running it. The guy who's been at the head of all this crap. That would be the first place to start, right? Crazy. We've got lots more coming up. Appreciate you being with us. Back with all of that and more.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. Glad to have you along. I hope you're staying warm and got the snow all shoveled everywhere. If not, Dustin Dopirak will gladly come over and shovel your drive for you. Just kidding. Dustin, how are you doing, sir?
Doing well, Jim. How about yourself, man?
Cannot complain, man. If I was any better, I'd be you. Busy weekend, busy stuff going on. I know you're keeping up with the Pacers as they're trying to pace, and it's just it's tough sledding. Not to use a bad analogy out there, but right now just for the Pacers. But obviously, it's tough sledding, man. You're down men. It's hard to go out there night in and night out and face these guys.
It is. That last night was just bad, and they had no business being that bad at all. They got beat by the Washington Wizards. They had, the Wizards were more shorthanded than they were. The Wizards are missing Alex Sarr. They're missing Bilal Coulibaly. They're missing Corey Kispert. They're missing Malachi Branham. They're missing some other guys, and Pacers just didn't come to play yesterday. I mean, it was a weird day in general. I mean, I think roads were still bad. It was freezing. Gainbridge was dead. As just dead as it could be. And you expect that some nights that, yesterday was for Hardy Souls only. And I think, it was 3:00 tip off and 4:25 kick for the Colts. And I think everybody was way too, righteously interested in what old man Phillip Rivers was going to do. So did not see a whole lot of people in Gainbridge Fieldhouse yesterday. And I'm sure that didn't necessarily help the cause, but Pacers just never showed I don't want to say didn't want to be there. I mean, I feel like I'm overstating the case, but, Rick Carlisle said it was just unacceptable. But, yeah, I mean, that's a game they should win. They beat the Wizards by 33 the day after Thanksgiving. They've got enough pieces. They should be able to beat that team, and they just never got going at all. Had 15 points in the second quarter, 19 in the third. It's just not, they're good enough to do better than that, for whatever they've – whatever issues they have, and they've got plenty. Obviously, we've gone over it the entire time, but they're getting, steadily closer to, as 100% that they're going to get, that they're not getting Halliburton back. They're not getting Obi back until February. Still missing Aaron Nesmith and Ben Shepherd, but, Siakam, Mathurin, Nembhard, McConnell is enough to beat the Wizards, and they didn't play that way yesterday.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I'm sure, will ask, well, how do you stay fired up to play, and how you do this, and I get it, because when you know that even when you're going up against a team, well, we're supposed to win this game. Yeah, it's one game out of a million that you're supposed to win, but it's because they're professionals. That's why they should be able to go out night in and night out, even when they're in this situation, and play to their standard. Doesn't mean it's always going to happen, and sometimes it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, that's the NBA. I mean, sometimes you look at it and you're like, why, last year they went to the NBA Finals and they had some doozies in the regular season. You don't like even great teams don't play great every single night. But I mean, I think it's one of those things where it's like, you're not going to have a whole lot of opportunities with this group, and this team needs to get its wins. I think that's the thing. Is like people have been just talking about how important it is for these guys to tank, and you can't just go out there and go, win 10 games all year and think it's going to be okay. Like it's, I've said it before. Sorry, I got a cough. It's been dealing with all week. Excuse me. Like this is a team that just went to the NBA Finals. Like it's different when you're talking about a team of 22-year-old, 23-year-old, 24-year-old guys where you're still, putting, draft picks together where you've had maybe 2 or 3 drafts of guys, and all these guys are still puppies and they haven't won yet. These guys have all won. Like these guys were all on a team that got there and wasn't that long ago, and so they're not in a position where they can go this whole season and just get the crap kicked out of them and never experience any kind of victory and just sort of lose more or less on purpose. Like if they do that, like you're going to shake a lot of the foundations that made them as good as they were last year. What made them good was their ability to connect, their kind of all for one for all kind of mentality. And that is one of the most important assets they have to try to maintain. Halliburton not being there makes a difference. Obviously, I mean he's the core of what makes that work. But the guys that are remaining still have to play with that same kind of standard, and it's a loss when they don't. If when they go out and get beat by Denver or Cleveland, or if they go get trounced by the Knicks on Thursday, like you can live with all those things because they can just say, hey, like we just don't have the firepower for this right now. But they've got to be able to grab wins like Sunday just to kind of maintain a sense that all right, we're gonna be okay when we get everybody back. When we get Halliburton back, when we get Obi back, when we get Aaron back, like next year, and then we'll add a couple pieces, and then we'll be a title contender again. That's the mentality they're trying to maintain. Losses like some, they chip away at that a little bit. Now, obviously it's December, it's a game you'll forget about in a week or in 2 weeks or whatever, but it's still one of the ones you look at and say like, that's a game they should win, like that's a team they should beat. So, none of this stuff is more devastating than the other necessarily, but it was just an ugly basketball game. And you're just like, man, they got to be able to do better than that for as much as they're dealing with that. They got to do better than that. Sorry. You're muted, Jim. You're muted, Jim. Jim, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry about that. I said, yeah, you've got to always give it your all. But at the end of the day, they all know, as sad as it sounds, this season only, losing is best for the franchise.
Yeah, like I said, it's not the same as it is for other teams that are tanking. Like it's not. It is a balance. Like I don't think these guys. For a couple other reasons. On a generic level, you're like, okay, well, what's the best you can get, a draft pick? But I'm still like, it is a weird collection of guys to be available for this group in terms of how much better you're going to make them. Because I don't know. I don't know if the guys is as good as the class is. I don't know if the guys on the table, how much better they make them, because I think they have a lot of what's available. Like I said, I think Cameron Boozer has been spectacular. Well, they have Pascal Siakam. Is Cameron Boozer going to walk in on day one and be as good or close to it as Pascal Siakam? No. And it's like, okay, well, do you can you play with 2 of those guys? What does that look like? If you do, what's, how much better are they? That's an interesting question. If you've got, if you go get Peterson, it's like we haven't seen a lot of Peterson lately. Is that better than Ben Mathurin? Is AJ DeBonsa better than Ben Mathurin? Is AJ DeBonsa better than Aaron Nesmith? I guess. But how much defeat is worth that guy? And then you're gonna have. But is it like DeBonsa? Isn't DeBonsa the same as Tyrese Halliburton? No, nobody's the same as Tyrese Halliburton. I don't think so, right? I mean, he's not averaging like 10 assists a game, is he? I haven't seen him enough, like bits and pieces. But yeah, I mean, I don't think like that's the difference. That's a different ballgame. But I mean, he's averaging 3.4 assists, which is pretty good for for four. I'm not trying to downplay how good these guys are because they're good. But I'm just not sure if they're.
Yeah, with their the right piece, and that's going to be the important part, is getting the right piece to fit in. Like you were talking about it, they could be a great player, and a lot of those guys are great players. Cameron Boozer's a great player, but is he the right player, the right piece that you're going to have to get to fit into what they already have? And they have some great pieces. Just got to get them all back. Hell, they're all hurt, so that's a big deal. We'll wait for Dustin to reconnect with us, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where the Pacers do go with what will end up being a high draft pick after this unfortunate season. Let me get Dustin back in here. There we go. There we go, sir. Talio, welcome back.
Hey, sorry about that. All right, what were we on?
What's that?
What were we on? There's only so much to say about the Pacers. There's only so much to say at the moment.
True that. So how about Indiana football winning a Heisman Trophy? You covered the Hoosiers and you've covered big time programs. This is we know how crazy it is, but I don't think that I could still wrap my mind around how crazy all of this stuff is. All of this stuff that has happened. And Greg Rakestraw, who was just with us, made a terrific point. Fernando Mendoza will be at Indiana for 9 months? I don't know that anybody has had an impact, as big of an impact on an athletics team in that period of time than what will Fernando Mendoza have had.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just, again, it's a different world, obviously. This is what, you're shrinking the amount of time the college athletes spend in the places they're at, but like you're because of the transfer portal and whatnot, some of these guys are coming more impact ready. And, like they are equipped to come in and make a huge difference because they're already built, like they don't need the 18-year-old, they spend the 18-year-old, 19-year-old time somewhere else. And, they show up when they're 20, 21 and they're ready.
They are ready to get after it. Hopefully they are and get to it. But man, it's going to be the rest of this college football season is going to be absolutely phenomenal to watch. We've got those first round games that will come up. Yeah, Russell asking who the NFL chasing Marcus Freeman. Does that happen? Who goes first in the NFL, Day or Freeman? I don't know that I see Ryan Day going to the NFL. I didn't know that I would see Marcus Freeman necessarily, but I haven't followed along with him as much. You know what? I mean, Ryan Day, when you're at Ohio State, you're in essence almost managing an NFL type team. I mean, a franchise. You really are. With the payroll they have, it's not the same payroll. Let's don't get excited. But is the pressure worse at Ohio State or in the NFL? It's actually a good question. I think it's at Ohio State. Dustin Dopirak back with us. Dustin was just talking about NFL kind of coming to maybe poach Marcus Freeman or even Ryan Day. And I could see both of those guys because of where they have been running a program that is very akin to an NFL franchise. I could see one of those two guys making that move, but it's just not an easy move to make for a lot of college coaches.
No, it's not. I mean, it's obviously, they're like, you're used to having a lot of control for as much as, like it's the wild, wild west in college sports right now. And everybody, like the amount of movement is difficult to keep up with and everything like that. And you are, paying guys now, and you've got to, keep whether it's your payroll or someone else's payroll in mind. Like it is difficult. And there's a lot of, certainly been a lot of coaches who have been like, I've had enough of this, sort of thing. Like you still do get a level of control that you don't get in the NFL. Like in the NFL, you have to draft, like you have to, like everybody else is doing this. Obviously everybody's doing the same thing in college recruiting as well, but there's more, like your ability to charm people only makes so much of a difference. It does matter in free agency and those kinds of things. But like there's, there's a skill set that goes off the table, basically that, like you got to be able to charm parents. You got to be able to, kind of express like, we're going to make your boys into men sort of thing. And that doesn't matter when you get to the NFL because they're already men and they're just basically saying, okay, can I play and can I make money? And it's like, okay. And can we win? And that's the other piece. So, there is a different mindset. There is a different deal. And I think there is some level of skepticism for college coaches, whenever they get to the NFL. And, especially if they haven't been I'm trying to think if he spent any time there at all. Yeah, I mean, so that's, I think the thing is that they understand that you're used to dealing with college kids, and it's like it takes a while for them to that to work out. But I mean, he played in the league. Freeman played in the league. I can see his personality translating very, very well. He's got it rolling at Notre Dame, and like I imagine at this point, like it certainly depends on whether he's got that feeling like, man, I really want to win a title. We were too close. We didn't get a chance to actually play in the playoff, and I want another crack at it. Does he want that more than he wants the opportunity to go turn around a franchise like the Giants? Like, I don't know. It's two very, very different fishbowls that he would be in, going from, Notre Dame to New York. That's, like there are some things that Notre Dame prepares you for, I think, but, it's, I don't know. I'm intrigued by, at this point, what it looks like for them. I definitely think like I could definitely see a lot of college basketball coaches being more intrigued by the NBA now. Because it's just like, man, it's less stressful, like it is less stressful. It's more dealing with grownups, but like an NFL team is a big, but both of them are just, football teams are just big operations. Am I off again?
No, if you are, it's my fault. I probably did do that by accident. Let me get you back on the deal. Yeah, there we go. Nope, I've screwed it all up, so I'm not sure. There we go. All now, back home again in Indiana, Dustin. But yeah, I agree with you, and it's a crazy. What's tougher now? Because it's changed. Going from college to the NFL, NFL to college, college teams are way different now. A lot of them have general managers, and your teams are not set so far in advance. These are just 1 year rollover teams. You have to find a new team almost every year, in essence, because you're going to have guys that leave. You're going to have guys that graduate every year. You don't have that in pro sports, so it's a re-up every single year.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's like on both sides, you have a certain amount of roster turnover every year, and you always did. I mean, like you always used to have guys graduating. You always used to have guys retiring. You also always used to have guys with their, contracts running out, like guys, like your front office wants to trade, somebody else's front office wants to trade, like there was always roster turnover. And like teams were only so set. You had a lot of moving parts, but in college you have more moving parts now. And it's just like you don't. Again, like you're talking, like Indiana basketball is a wholly new team. Like that's just very rare. But like that was very rare. Like now it probably isn't. Like I don't know how many other teams in college basketball in Division I are brand new zero returners. I don't know how many other teams are like that. But it might not be zero. And, there's a good chance that there's a bunch of other teams that are 10 new guys, if they're not 13. And so, it is a reality now. And so, at least, in pro sports, you're not guaranteed, but most likely you're going to have some guys back, by virtue of, not every contract is going to run out at the same time. You're going to have rookies, guys that are on rookie scale deals that they're on for 4 years in the NBA and in the NFL, again, they a lot of those guys are on rookie contracts. So yeah, baseball, etc. But right now it's a bigger operation. It says something very real for all the drama involved in the Bill Belichick situation that's got nothing to do with the sport itself. Him not being able to figure out the sport in a year is a deal. It really stands out. That guy is a surefire Hall of Famer. He is the best coach of his generation, and he did not figure it out at all. Not one bit. Just came in, and it was I don't want to use the term disaster. It was a college football season, but it was not good. He did not get it. And again, that's the guy. For a good 15 years in the NFL, everybody was trying to do what Bill Belichick was doing. And, he came to college football and did not have a clue how to get it done. So that tells you a lot, I think, of just how difficult it is right now. It's a wholly different skill set. And how many guys just got about a year into it and were like, I can't do this. I don't have it in me for this. I've had enough between, college basketball and college football. Guys that owned the sport for years were just nah, I'm out. I'm done. So I think it's a remarkable thing, and it has created a totally different group of guys. And I don't even know what they have that these older guys didn't have. Maybe it's just patience, maybe it's just, youthful vigor and ability to stick with it because they're just younger than those guys were. But I don't know. But it's changed. It's different. And it's a whole new group of people that have been successful. The Signettis, the Freemans, it's there's been just a turnover of who are the great coaches in college football. That's shifted on a dime because, Saban and other guys retired.
Yeah. What's a bigger job? If you look at the NFL, there are few college jobs that you're even going to put in that category. But Ohio State and Notre Dame are definitely probably jobs that are better than some NFL jobs.
Right. Yeah, no, because you're winning. They'll build you a statue if you win enough. And it's just and you are constantly, you can get credibility more in a college job. Now, obviously, Ohio State, Ryan Day was on the brink of being fired before he won a national championship. And now I would say he's pretty safe. There are scenarios where like that. And at a place like Ohio State where the expectations are high, and also you add a rivalry to it where it's you have to win that game. Your ability to win that game has a lot to do with whether or not you keep the job. And now he's finally won that game. And so now he's got some level of job security where, it's NFL. If you've got a bad enough first year, they're not keeping you around for second one. And that's it. There is less job security now than there was in college football, but you can still gain some if you take a team someplace that hasn't been, you're going to get some level of, you get some level of security. You get a big enough contract and a buyout, people are going to pay those buyouts if it's bad enough. But some of those are, prohibitive. So it's still, you are safer if you've had success at a college job, whereas the NFL, they can determine basically that they've lost, faith in you. Mike Tomlin's in an interesting place, for instance. He has never lost. He's never had a losing season. It's just something that gets trotted out all the time. But, the fan base is ready. Steeler fans are ready to make a change. Very, very, very ready. I don't know if it's going to happen. But, that tells you something. It's he's been successful for, again, he's been in office since 2007, has never had a losing season. That's a long, long time. And, the fan base is ready to go in another direction. And whether the ownership is or not, who knows? But it's there is definitely a level of impatience that's different.
How about Kirk Ferentz at Iowa? Here's a guy who is a they're going to build statue for him. He wins 8-9 games every year, and that's all he's going to win at the most. I think that that's their ceiling. Do you just take that and run with that every year, knowing that you're probably not going to go to the college football playoffs, or do you try to get more?
I mean, that's always the dependent question, and different programs have different answers. You know, I mean, I think obviously Iowa so far has hung in there. I mean, there's been some misgivings at Iowa. I mean, there have definitely been times where I think Iowa fans were ready to, call it a day on Kirk. And I feel like recently they've done a little bit better. I think like when they're used to you being 8-4 and you slip to 7-5, 6-6, then they start to get a little bit, there's some level of unrest that shows up at that point, I think. And I think there were some years where Iowa was getting there. There was a point where the offense was just so horrendous. And the fact, I think that it was Kirk's son who was running it, created a level of, tension there that I think got a little bit high. And when he finally, I think, made the decision to move on from Brian.
Well, they forced it, actually. They I've never seen this. They put a requirement that they had to score so many points, I think, or he was gone, and they didn't, and he was.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I think that was the most sort of, not anger, but, that was where he kind of put himself in trouble. I mean, like he was in a spot where he probably would have been able to stay for a long, long time. And it just reached the point during that they were getting 3 points a game so many times that you're like, all right, like this has to end. And, they're back to the point where I think they're annually doing what they're supposed to be doing. And so Kirk Ferentz is probably safe, going forward, maybe as long as he wants to be there. I mean, like since 2021, it's 10-4, 8-5, 10-4, 8-5, 8-4, heading to an
Hey, Dustin, cut off there again. We'll get him back. We've got to take a quick break. Anyway, we've got more coming up here at Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're back with it right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC, local lives here.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you on this Monday, a frigid Monday, a frozen tundra type of Monday. Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Star with us. Dustin, something that I want to talk about. Sad, the situation in Michigan, very, very, very sad. But I've got to tell you something that with them that has just made me laugh when I saw that they are opening up an investigation unto themselves as to why that they keep making these jackass moves. And I'm like, well, I'm going to assume that Ward Manuel is not ahead of this thing because he's the guy that's been in front of this athletics department for all of this stuff. So I cannot see how the first thing that happens is he isn't gone.
Isn't he gone already? Didn't he get fired yet? I'm like surprised, I guess. I mean, I thought I heard he did. Maybe I didn't even.
Did you say he was fired? Did I miss that?
No, he wasn't. Okay. Yeah, it's all right. It was word next. I'm actually kind of surprised. Like I almost felt like I heard he didn't, but he wasn't. Yeah, no, I mean, obviously that's you put a guy on the chopping block when something like this happens, and I mean, I do think there's like the probe has to figure out a lot of things, like what how. And because I mean, you have to ask yourself two questions: is this a thing that people should know? Like how, what, basically, like okay, like what guardrails should you have to stop something like this from happening? Because it is also, like there's a privacy matter to it, and it's just like okay, exactly how much do you want your athletic department to know about everybody's private life? But also like. There's tough questions there,
But I don't think they're talking about like this, the Sharon Moore thing. It goes way beyond that. It goes way back. We're talking Connor Stallions and Jim Harbaugh and all of those guys, and that has been allowed to happen. And I'm like, well, how do you expect it to not happen? You put guys like Sharon Moore, who were right in the middle of this previous scandal, who deleted messages, who didn't cooperate with investigators. One guy throws his phone in a pond, and you wonder what the hell's going on? Well, it's pretty obvious you're putting people in places that being in charge of things that they shouldn't be. And who put them in that position? Well, that starts at the top. So it seems like something that has been allowed to happen within the football program. And that to me was based on the fact that they couldn't beat Ohio State. Lost Dustin again, daggone it. But I just think that it's just all over that. The fact that they could not beat Ohio State, Jim Harbaugh, and so we finally, no matter what, they do whatever it takes to get that done. Well, Michigan turned a blind eye. How many freaking times did you have a head coach suspended? 3 different times. You think that there's not a problem? It's amazing. Dustin back with us here. Dustin, I was just talking about the fact that, all this stuff that went on and went on and went on. How do they not know that there's a stinking problem when your football or a football coach was suspended 3 consecutive years? It's pretty nuts when you can see all of that going on, but you're not doing much about it. Yeah, we'll see if we can get Dustin back with us. It's not quite there, but it is what it is. It's sad but it's also funny at the same time. It's like, what, are you kidding me? It's you all. The reason this happened is because you allowed it to happen. You fostered it to happen. You continued putting people. You named Sharon Moore your head coach, a guy who did not cooperate with investigators regarding a serious cheating scandal. Mind-boggling. Dustin, back with us. I was just talking about Michigan. After all that goes on, they make Sharon Moore your head coach. I'm like, what the hell do you expect? This guy was right in the middle of the scandal that you're doing. He gets suspended on top of that. You've had multiple coaches get suspended, and you don't know there's a problem. Well, there's a problem. That's the problem right there.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something to be said for, like, if I'm sure they talked themselves into it for a bunch of reasons. For one thing, Sharon went out and won when Harbaugh was suspended, and the players wanted him to be the coach. And so I think they sometimes, like, the department has a hard time saying no, like, this whole team, this whole group was, corrupt. And I think they could easily say, well, that was Jim's idea. Like, Jim came up with this, and, like it's not necessary. This thing is over, like, this is only going to go so far, and it is what it is. But like, you obviously don't know, like, all right, you have a sign stealing scandal. It's over. You're not thinking to yourself, okay, well, that sign stealing scandal is going to lead to a inappropriate relationship with a staffer scandal. Like, those things aren't necessarily connected. Now, you could say, all right, well, like, if you didn't have enough scruples to say no to the sign stealing scandal, you can easily find yourself vulnerable to other things. Sure. And you don't necessarily, I can see how you don't necessarily view it that way. And just, but I think a big part of what happened, across college sports, and Michigan was one of those programs that looked at it like, because they did not comply. I think after a few scandals went in a situation where a program was better off saying, F you to the NCAA. And after, for a while, teams were just self-imposing whatever penalties you want. And then it got to the point where there were some that were bad enough that people were like, you know what, I'm not going to plead guilty on this. And they ended up being successful. They ended up being able to throw enough dirt on the NCAA and say, okay, well, you guys are corrupt, you guys are this, you guys are that, and they got away with it. And so Michigan's view was, all right, we're going to give them nothing. We're going to give them absolutely nothing. And like, the NCAA came down, and it could have been worse, it could have been better, or whatever. Michigan, like, you've certainly seen worse situations. Like, they mostly kind of took it easy on them, because I feel like the NCAA has felt like it's not allowed to even, impose much anymore, because they'll just be constantly reminded how terrible everybody thinks they are, and all the rules are changed anyway. So, I think they kind of got away with it and thought, all right, well, we're better off just keeping these guys around, and we'll win. This ended up being something entirely different, and hitting a different level of bad. So, I mean, you couldn't use one to predict the other, but if you probably could have done a better job of looking around and seeing something was up, even though it was just entirely not connected. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not around it. Like, I don't cover Michigan, so let's be real. Like, it's not like I've got any kind of inside stuff here. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It seems easy, but I mean, I could see how Michigan could talk himself into believing that, like, this was a hackneyed weirdo scheme that Jim Harbaugh cooked up, and it's isolated. Like, I could see people thinking that of it's isolated to Jim wanted signals for stuff, and it's like he concocted this big, pretty ridiculous operation to pull this off in the first place, and they didn't do a good job of, Connor Stein didn't do a great job of, like, covering his paper trail, or just like, all of this was too easy and too dumb. And okay, well, Jim's gone, so he was the mastermind of this whole thing to start with, and you don't have to worry about that anymore. He's on a show cause, so just tell these guys not to do anything like that, and you'll be fine. And I could see how you could think it was going to be fine. And again, these are two entirely disconnected things. Nobody says, all right, well, if that guy still signs, that he could definitely hook up with a staffer. Like, those things aren't connected at all. But same person apparently allegedly did the same thing. So I don't know. It's a mess over there.
Yeah, I don't see how that the whole thing wasn't just cleaned out. You have to know that time, but this is cancerous. This whole thing, from a staff standpoint, when you're involved in the scandal, when you actively do not help, when you are purposely making things worse, How I just don't see how Michigan did not go, all right, we got to, we have to disavow ourselves from this. We came back, we beat Ohio State, we got a national championship. Let's don't taint this thing. Well, they have tainted it and tainted it and tainted it, and now it's gotten worse and worse and worse. And so now they are and as far as getting away with it, yeah, they got away with it, but now the chickens are coming home to roost, baby.
They are, yeah. So, but unfortunately, what they're just going to do is be able to, they managed to fire a guy with cause. They don't owe him any money. And as messy as that is, it's Sharon Moore's deal. And, there's not going to be additional penalties that come with that. So they get to cut bait and get a, new shiny new coach that they're going to be able to throw $100 million at or whatever. And, not that I'm overstating the case, but tens of millions, probably $10 million a year. And so, they're not going to come out of this in really bad shape. Ward Manuel's probably in trouble, but Michigan's going to end up okay.
What is up next for you, my friend?
Got a little bit more slow down time. They got the NBA Cup stuff, so they got practice this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then they play the Knicks on Thursday and back on the road on Saturday. They'll be in New Orleans and Boston, so I'll be in New Orleans and Boston. Then they got a pretty packed Christmas week. Come back, it's Milwaukee, Boston, and they go to Miami and Houston. I won't go to that. But once they get past all this NBA Cup stuff, it's back to games basically every other day for most of the rest of the season. So,
how about Nebraska in the Big Ten? Oh, they're 11-0, man. Here every week we're talking. You got Michigan, you got Michigan State, you got Purdue, you got Illinois, probably got UCLA, maybe USC, and every time you try Illinois, now you've got Nebraska, who's never really done anything in basketball. Fred Hoiberg, oh man, it's finally coming around. They go to Illinois and get a win the other day.
That's impressive. I haven't been following very closely, but yeah, I mean they've got some good wins on here. They beat Oklahoma, they beat Kansas State, they beat Creighton by 20. They just mashed Wisconsin by 30. So yeah, that's a heck of a win. Fred Hoiberg has been slowly building something over there for a long time, and they've given him a good amount of faith there and stuck with it. That's been a tough little squad, and they're heading in a good direction. That looks like a tournament team.
Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Star. Make sure you are giving him a follow on all of the content regarding the Pacers and keeping up with them as they try to get through this season to get to another season. That's okay. They're building for the future, baby, and go along for the ride. Appreciate you, my friend.
All right. Thanks, Jim.
Have a great one. We've got more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're back with it and more right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemooreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. Glad to have you along. Thanks a lot for being with us, no matter where or how you're listening. Stay warm out there, man. Chilly day. I know that you probably saw that Fernando Mendoza became the first Hoosier to win the Heisman Trophy Saturday night, as he was named this year's Heisman winner. Diego Pavia, who finished second in the voting, and is a lot shorter than I thought. This dude's got no shot in the NFL. But anyway, I was shocked to see a post that he put out. Jamie sent it to me. Thank you, Jamie. And it basically, it said, F all the voters, fam forever. He had a picture of his lineman behind him, which if he would have just said fam forever or something, it would have been all right. But F all the voters, not good. That's not a good Heisman. That's why he didn't win the Heisman. He's not a Heisman. You could tell to me how he was dressed. He kind of looked thuggy, but whatever. Vanderbilt quarterback Diego Pavia, the Heisman Trophy runner-up, apologized Sunday for being disrespectful in a social media post he made after Indiana's Fernando Mendoza won the award for college football's best player. F all the voters, Pavia wrote Saturday night on his Instagram story with a thumbs down emoji, but family for life. The captivation accompanied a photo of Pavia with his offensive lineman at the ceremony in New York. Pavia faced criticism for his reaction, and on Sunday he posted a statement saying he didn't handle his emotions well after losing. First of all, you actually thought you were going to win? Are you kidding me? You actually thought you were going to beat the guy who led the nation in touchdowns, who led his team to a 13-0 finish, who led a program that has never had an undefeated season in the toughest conference in the country to a 13-0 finish, a win in the Big Ten championship over the reigning national champions. You still thought you were going to win? Yeah, okay. That explains a lot right there. But here's what he said. Being a part of the Heisman ceremony last night as a finalist was such an honor. As a competitor, just like in everything I do, I wanted to win. To be so close. You weren't really that close. You got your ass kicked in the voting, bro. To be so close to my dream and come up short was painful. I didn't handle those emotions well at all and did not represent myself. Oh, it cut off. There's a lot of here. The way I wanted to. I have much love and respect for the Heisman voters and the selection process, and I apologize for being disrespectful. It was a mistake, and I am sorry. I'm sure the marketing department wrote this for him. Fernando Mendoza is an elite competitor and a deserving winner of the award. I have nothing but respect for his accomplishments as well as the success that Jeremiah and Julian had this season. I've been doubted my whole life. Every step of my journey, I've had to break down doors and fight for myself because I've learned that nothing would be handed to me. Really? Doesn't seem like with that reaction. My family has always been in my corner, and my teammates, coaches, and staff have my six. I love them. I am grateful for them. I wouldn't want anything to distract from that. I look forward to competing in front of my family and with my team one more time in the ReliaQuest Bowl. Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, that was the worst response that I've ever seen. I'm talking about the other night. It was unbelievable. Why would you do that? How do you not know that that's not going to, yeah. Don't think that you would have seen that from any, well, I know you wouldn't. You didn't. You wouldn't have seen that from Jeremiah Love. You wouldn't have seen that from Julian Sand. You wouldn't have seen that from anybody else. That's, that was a little shocking. Congratulations to Fernando Mendoza and his speech. It was great to see that. The 60 Minutes deal. Fun to watch that last night. Indiana, it's getting all kind of love, man. I mentioned it earlier. This is free marketing. And we're not talking about sticking a mailer. This is nationwide. And beyond that, to be honest with you, but nationwide, 60 Minutes. That's a huge get. They're on every single sports show. There's not a sports show that's on that Indiana football is not being mentioned in. Yeah, how can you not? They're the number one team in the country. But all of that comes back to Indiana University. They're benefiting unbelievably. And John Wertheim, I think I've mentioned this before, the host on 60 Minutes, he's from Bloomington. I forgot to even mention to Don the fact of, being on 60 Minutes. How cool was that? But amazing seeing all this stuff happen. Does it put more pressure on Indiana to go out and do the deal to win it all now? To complete this story? I don't know that it does. I'll be honest with you. If they had not lost Stephen Daly, I'd be pretty confident that they're going to win the national championship. I think that they've got as good a shot as anybody now. But had they had Stephen Daly, I'd have put them in a class by themselves. I don't know that they're in that class by themselves now without Stephen Daly. Not that I think that they're in a class amongst others. Because if you go back and you look, how many of those games that Indiana won did he impact those? I mean, my God, you when you lead the nation in sacks and tackles for loss, rather, pretty big impact. But we'll see. It ought to be. It's going to be a hell of a time, no matter what. And it's enjoy it. Just enjoy every bit of it for the fans, and enjoy where you are. And remember where you were 2 years ago, prior to 2024. Think about that 3-9 season. Fast forward 2 years, you're playing in the Rose Bowl and in the college football playoffs for the second year in a row. That's crazy, people. I had his offensive line showed up in New York for Fernando's celebration. Then they go out on the town. That was crazy. Saw all the photos. Fun seeing that stuff, though, to be honest with you. Fun getting to see all of those guys having fun. It's fun getting to see. I feel sorry for Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt was getting a lot of love because of Diego Pavia. How can you be, and Vanderbilt is, it's hard to get in there. That's one of those schools you got to be pretty smart. I guarantee you when their media people saw that, they probably just threw up in their mouth. Not good. Not good. But that's okay. What are you going to do? Hey, we're back tomorrow to do this all again, of course. And we'll have, we'll be hearing from Fernando Mendoza as we'll be meeting with him today in a presser with the newest Heisman Trophy winner. And looking forward to seeing that trophy, man, getting some pictures of it, maybe even touch it. Who knows? I've never been up close to a Heisman Trophy. So looking forward to that, and looking forward to having that for you tomorrow, along with Mike DeCourcy, and see what else we can get scurried up. as we move into the December time. Slow down, little slow down time with the holidays coming around. The switch over from you finalized non-conference play into Big Ten play. So everything's moving forward, people. You go out and have yourselves a good day. Until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I'll see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.